Well, if your clutch is acting up, there's some things you can do to diagnose the problem before you get the whole thing replaced. Our Monday morning mechanic, David Rogers, is here to show us what it's all about. Good morning, David.
Good morning, Natalie. How are you?
I've seen what a clutch looks like.
Most people haven't, actually. For as many as people have bought in their lives, they don't know what it looks like.
This is how it works.
You know, this is how it works. This is the main clutch. We call it a pressure plate, okay, and then a disc. And basically what happens, you can see these have little fingers on them. And these fingers provide a lot of resistance when you're switching gears. I can barely push them down. Typically what happens when you start feeling the vehicle not shifting correctly, going in and out not smoothly, we're talking about a manual transmission in most cases, folks, what happens here is that you'll have a company will come in and tell you, let's replace this.
And this is an expensive piece to replace,
This is an expensive piece, you know, $400 or $500 plus the labor. You get another $200 or $300. So $600, $800 is not unusual. Okay?
So you're saying there are things that can be fixed before you get to that?
Absolutely, and there are things that could be causing the problem. You know, most of us know that there's hydraulic fluid involved here somehow. Basically, that hydraulic fluid is running through lines.
What is this?
And going into this, which is called a slave cylinder, a secondary cylinder. It's inside the transmission bell housing. And basically what this does is the fluid comes through and creates pressure and causes the clutch to engage and disengage. And when this fails, or let's say there were a fluid leak somewhere in the lines, then you're going to have problems with this clutch. It requires so much pressure. I mean, if I push on this with all my strength, I can't make those fingers move, okay? So it takes a lot of pressure, which means that the system has to have its integrity maintained. In other words, no leaks, no holes,
How do you know when you're
drips.
having trouble here, which would, of course, be the precursor to this?
You bet. The first thing that you're going to notice, okay, the first thing you'll probably notice is a leak on the ground. You'll probably find...
Anytime you see a leak,
Anytime you see a leak, get it checked out, because you could spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars. You may just have a small leak here, a small leak in a line, maybe $50, $100, or a couple $100 to replace a component like this, rather than spending $800 on that or $1,000, okay? And so the first thing we look for is any kind of leak, and hydraulic fluid's typically clear. So you're not really going to know what it is. It's just going to look clear. If you touch it, it's going to feel a little bit slick, but it's probably not going to have any color to it. The next thing that you'll notice is that when you're pressing on the clutch pedal, the pedal may not feel like it's in the same place. In other words, your foot may engage at a lower place, closer to the floor, or it may feel like when you're pressing it down, it's not going into gear quite the way it should. Right, you're kind of having to wrestle it into one of the gears. Most of the time, it's not the unit. Most of the time, it's a leak.
Wow.
So let's look at the fluid systems. You can go in, you can check your fluids, you can look for any kind of leaks. When you take the vehicle in, the most important thing I'm going to tell you is go to a AAA shop, find an ASE Certified Master technician, and have him assess the situation, because he's not going to be looking to sell you a part. He's going to be looking to find out, hey, what's really happened here? Why is it happening, and what can we do to avoid it?
Okay, good advice this morning. Saving us lots of money.
Hope so.
David, we appreciate it. For more information, CW2.com. We'll give it to you.